Welcome to the first ever episode of Gears League Tyler's Soapbox. So I did actually get the emblem finalized for this today. Sort of finalized. It'll probably be in a little bit higher quality later on, but in later episodes. But for this episode, this is going to be the first one with the quasi logo to it. So this series is mainly just for me to be able to talk about stuff that wouldn't make sense for me to go on a tangent about on the regular show, the Gears League, the Xbox podcast itself. So, this is sort of just me talking about different games I'm playing, kind of my thoughts on it, because I always have a lot to say about games, but I don't want to take half an hour of the regular show to talk about it, because the regular show is supposed to be, about somewhat of what I'm playing, but more so about the news and topics, etc., etc. So this is just going to be my kind of separate show. It's It's going to be a very irregular show. You're not going to get it every week or anything. It's just going to be probably when I finish a game and I feel like I've got a lot to say about it, or when I finish parts of games like MMOs, like that, maybe what my feelings are on the current MMO, etc., etc. So. First off, let's start with Pokémon Sword and Shield. So I've been talking about that several weeks now in the podcast about how amazing I think those games are. Kind of want to break them down by my impressions of them and what I kind of think overall. So first off, I haven't played a Pokemon game since probably Pokemon Alpha Sapphire was probably the last one I really played. And before that was they actually Sapphire itself. So, and the ones that I really actually played I played Alpha Sapphire and I played Sapphire when I was younger, when it came around the time it came out. But mainly Red, Blue, and Yellow and Gold, Silver, Crystal. I probably have, I'm not kidding you, thousands of hours in those games. Just playing them, training a bunch of Pokemon level 100, or restarting the game, doing the same thing over and over again. I have literally over thousands of hours in those games. So that was kind of growing up, because growing up I did a lot of that. I played a lot of the same game over and over and over again, but Pokemon in particular. And then when Sapphire came out, I was a young old man at that point. I'm like, these Pokemon aren't nothing. I don't know about anything about these Pokemon. So I don't know. I just wasn't that interested in them. I mean, I played them through, but I didn't really come to love Pokemon again. I'd probably say until now, actually, with Sword and Shield. So first impressions when I played the game, I was just like, wow, this is incredible. What a big step forward for the series. This is. I was kind of thinking back to how back to those old games, the 2D style to now this, I thought that was excellent. But, and then, I started playing around in the worlds, seeing the cities that they built and everything like that, talking to people. That's when I kind of started to hesitate a little bit about how amazing this game was going to be. And I'll kind of elaborate later on that. I kind of want to break it down a little bit more first by section of what I liked and what I didn't like before I go right into that. So, so I enjoyed a lot of the game. I enjoyed a lot of the fact that you can customize your, your character. I love that. I loved how, you could get yourself different clothes and stuff, which has been a thing since Alpha Sap. I think probably since X and Y, I think, but, I thought that was awesome. I loved customizing my clothes, making my character look like the most swag Pokemon trainer ever. That was awesome. I loved, kind of just walking around the worlds. This kind of, I guess I'll kind of go on to it now. I loved walking around the worlds in the city, but when I play an RPG, I talk to everybody, right? And I consider this a full RPG. I mean, I know it's Pokemon, which is, I feel like its own genre almost, but to me, it was an open world RPG, so I talked to everybody, quickly realized no one has anything to say. And that was kind of like a dawning moment, because I went through the first 3 or 4 cities talking to every single person in those cities. 1 out of 100 people will actually have something to say or give you or do or something. There's these people you can talk to and you can challenge them to a Pokemon battle and they'll give you an item or something like that if you beat them. But It was the worlds just felt so empty, and that was very reminiscent of the older games where there was a few people there, but like only really a handful of people really did anything, and that was kind of glass shattering for me because I was so high on that game until the moment I realized and like, oh, there's no point in talking to these people. And then, I mean, admittedly, I kind of got over it. I just wasn't as high in the game as I was before. Then I continued to play, go through the gyms and everything like that. Which, by the way, the gym battles are awesome. I love the gym set. I love the length of this game. I love how you do a lot before you even start hunting for the gym battles. It shows you, earning the ability to challenge and the gym challenge. I was all hyped for this whole thing. I mean, the build up was awesome. The whole the whole getting to those points was I thought that was just incredible. So definitely good pacing in the game for sure. I love that a lot. And so but yeah, other than that, it was so I like the length of it. I like the story-ish of it. So I will say, I've been talking to a lot of people about this. It's the best story in a Pokemon game, but that is not a high bar at all by any stretch of the imagination. There's no story in the Pokemon games really ever. And I mean, I guess that's okay. I I'm not gonna lie. I would love if there was a real story. I would love if there were real people to talk to. I would love if this was a real RPG. But and that's kind of, I don't know. That's kind of where I leave a lot of it. Is I wish it was a real RPG. Although I had a tremendous amount of fun. And then I won't really spoil anything in the story, which, by the way, isn't going to necessarily be reminiscent of all my soapboxes. I mean, if a game is heavily focused on story, I'm going to talk about the story. This is so much not a story-focused game that I feel like if I were to spoil it, it's not really necessary, so I probably won't really talk about the story details. But overall, it was a lot of fun. The story kind of guides you to the legendary Pokemon in the game pretty properly. I felt over, like I said, I had a ton of fun, and also then I feel like I should get to the post game of this, which is a real part of it. Like, there's a lot to do in the post game, but at the same time, if you're thinking about a regular RPG post game like an MMO or like Borderlands 3 or something like that, then there's nothing to do by comparison, because I feel like with those games you're motivated to keep playing. You've got a reason to keep playing. You're very hyped to keep playing. There is no reason, really, unless you care about certain things, to keep playing. So why I kept playing the post game is because I was very invested in trying to hunt shiny Pokemon. I was very invested in trying to get perfect stat Pokemon. For why, couldn't tell you. I think part of my reason is I was starting to try to trade with people to try to finish the Pokedex, and then I kind of got motivated to, instead of trading with people, just pick up another Switch, because I plan on probably buying a Switch Lite for my girlfriend for Christmas, and Pokemon Sword, and I might borrow that from time to time and be able to trade with myself to finish the Pokedex all on my own with no help. I think that's actually pretty motivating to me. So that's kind of why I started grinding the perfect stats, so I can trade those perfect stat Pokemon to myself in Pokemon Sword when I start that. But yeah, hunting shiny Pokemon, which, by the way, that's some of the most rewarding stuff in a game ever. For those of you who are not familiar with shiny Pokemon, it's like when you encounter Pokemon in the wild, you've got a 1 in 4,096 chance of finding a shiny Pokemon. And so I had went through my entire, those thousands of hours of playing Gold and Silver I was talking to you about. I found probably 2 total. Playing this game, there's ways to increase your chances. My first shiny Pokemon I got was Charmander, and because I loved, I loved Charmander, I loved Charizard, I wanted to get a shiny Pokemon. Little did I know that because the shiny Charmander is yellow, when you evolve it all the way to a Charizard, it's a black Charizard, which was epic. I mean, nothing felt more amazing than getting a black Charizard. That was fantastic. That was a good feeling. So there was that was a lot of fun. And then after that, the Gigantamax raids, the max raid battles, which is now the new way to level your Pokemon up to level 100. Again, the only reason you'd level your Pokemon to level 100 is if you just cared about having a level 100 Pokemon. There's literally no competitive need. If you like to play competitive Pokemon, which is something I'll talk a little bit about here too, but there's no real end game need either because, I guess there is. Like, if you have a level 100 Pokemon and you're trying to get the Gigantamax Pokemon, that'll help you, definitely. So there's a little bit of a reason, but only, again, if you care about the game enough to keep continuing in the post-game. Is there a post-game? So, but I had a lot of fun. I've got about 90 hours in Pokemon Sword, so I should tell you, I finished the game in around 40 hours. So it's been a lot of fun. I've spent most of my time in the, in the post-game. So it was, a lot of fun there. The hunting the Gigantamax Pokemon, which are special Pokemon that look different when they Dynamax, that was a lot of fun. And then mainly just filling the Pokedex, which I am I'm getting there. I think I'm about 80% of the way done with the Pokedex. So, but otherwise, the post game kind of, like I say, it's fun if you care about it. And I guess I'll talk a little bit more about the competitive scene now, which, to be honest, I haven't played any of. I can tell you from my experience of previous Pokemon games like Alpha Sapphire, it's a very hardcore and intensive end game. If you care about PvP in Pokemon games, that is a lot of fun. I think that's kind of a rewarding grind, is because before you can even start playing against other players, you really need to go in and breed those perfect stat Pokemon. Like, you really need to make sure you can teach them the best move they know. That's a lot about using Pokemon that you would never otherwise use. There's like a lot of using like random Pokemon you wouldn't think to. Like, instead of using like the legendaries, which you usually can't in ranked battles online, you're going to use Pokemon that you probably just completely skipped over, and then they're going to be bred with attacks that you were not expecting. I think that is a phenomenal part of competitive play, that there is such a hardcore following behind it, and it's very neat to think about, because and then when you're trading with other Pokemon, like if you go on like these Facebook groups and just look for other trades with people, it's weird. It's like I can't think of another game like this where it's a single player game, but it's got an online economy basically of Pokemon, and an online like you work hard in the single player to then exchange your goods in Pokemon with other people who have been working hard in their single player. It's kind of awesome. I don't really think I play a lot of games like that, but like I said, there's a lot to do in the post game if you care about the post game. So it's a very deep post game too. So, but right now I think it's time for me to move on to a different game. Until later on, I probably are going to start trading with myself to get when I get Pokemon Sword, probably later on in the year. So, but yeah, overall, I love this game. Granted, I have not played every Pokemon game. So if you've played every Pokemon game and now you've got some fatigue, I don't know if there's a lot that's going to revitalize your like of it. But if you're someone who just buys all the Pokemon games anyway, I think it's I don't know. If you like Pokemon, you'll like Pokemon. If you haven't played the Pokemon game in a while, it's great for you. If you're playing every Pokemon but have serious fatigue, I don't know if it's the game for you, if that makes sense. Because they really are largely the same game over and over again. So... I love the progress that the series has made with the 3D battles and everything. I don't like how when you compare it to other RPGs, especially Western RPGs, is a very, very lackluster game. And that's kind of my overall draw. So it's worth picking up. If you've never played a Pokemon game, you'll probably like it. But if you're looking for a hardcore RPG, unless you care about that's also something too. If you care about a hardcore RPG, but then you want to turn those hardcore RPGs into a PvP experience, and this is for you. I don't know how many of that exact particular person there is, but this game is for you for sure. So, but otherwise, yes, that's the end of the first episode of Tyler's Soapbox. Let me know what you think. You can email me at gearsleaguepodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's gearsleaguepodcast@gmail.com. Let me know what you thought. Otherwise, you can subscribe to us on iTunes as well for the full Gears League Xbox podcast and Gears League Soapbox in podcast form for you. It will be on Spotify. It will go to there and everything like that. It's just for right now, until we get the logos finalized, I don't want to be going to other sources yet. So, otherwise, yeah, take care.